There's something puzzling about the terracotta soldiers of the Qin Emperor. A lot of the soldiers wear small round caps like this. Archaeologists have confirmed that it's a kerchief made of linen. The officers wear board-shaped caps made of cattle hide. Quite a number of the soldiers roll up their long hair into buns. Neither the soldiers nor the officers wear helmets. Not only are they helmetless, but their armour is very simple, with the least possible amount of protection. Soldiers of the main force have protective plates only on their chest and back. The crossbowmen in front wear no protection at all, just light clothes. In the pit of terracotta soldiers, there are some who hold short, sharp weapons for grappling, but do not wear leather armour. They stand out in this underground army. It could be assumed that the Qin state over 2,000 years ago was a country where military men were found everywhere. To the millions of Qin people, going to the front was not only to fight for their country, it was also the only way to gain fame and wealth, escaping from poverty to a better position. In Chinese history, the culture and characteristics of the Qin people were unique. Possibly this had something to do with their origins. The Qin people used to live in the grasslands in the northwest of China. They lived among nomadic tribes. In the eyes of the people in the central part of China, where civilization was developed, they were backward and barbarous people. In spite of the fact that the Qin people tried hard to copy the civilization of central China, they never really managed to assume the elegance, the delicacy, balance and modesty which existed in the central civilization. In their minds, it was only natural to be aggressively military and go all out for their own benefit. Han Feizi was a great thinker during the Warring States period. He wrote down his own feelings when he first met the Qin people. Knowing there would be war, the Qin people became extremely anxious and restive, stripping to the waist and stamping their feet without the slightest care for life or death. A noted wandering advisor of that time wrote the following description of the Qin army. They march forward bravely, bareheaded and stripped to the waist. The way the Qin attack the other 6 states is like a stone smashing eggs. They run after their enemies carrying a human head in one hand and hold a captive under the other arm. The Qin army, as vividly described by the advisor, makes people tremble with fear. Military ranks are normally displayed. Take a close look at this army. The hairstyle, the caps, and the way they dress are different. Is there anything in these differences related to their military rank? Yuan Zhongyi, an archaeologist, and his colleagues tried to come up with a reasonable explanation. The first 3 rows of soldiers with crossbows wear simple clothes. The hair is tied in a bun in the shape of a vertebra bending upwards. In the infantry, there are people who wear leather armour plates with their hair in pigtails fixed to the back of the head. The majority of the infantry wear round caps made of linen with a sharp point at the top, like this. Judging by their positions in the arrangement, the difference in clothing and hairstyle are not due to their lifestyle, but to their different ranks in the nobility. The specialists presume that the soldiers holding crossbows with hair buns in simple clothes possibly belonged to the first grade of the rank in the nobility. This was the lowest grade and they were called gongshi. Those in leather armour plates and round caps with pigtails were in the second grade and were called shangzao. Hongshi and Shangzhou were common soldiers, and they made up the majority of the army. Here, in this pit, they form the majority. Between the two walls, there's an independent column. This one, with his arms stretching forward and reins in the hands, is the driver of a chariot. In this terracotta soldier's pit, all the drivers are wearing this board-shaped cap. Their leather corselets are of better quality than the ordinary soldiers. In the front, a chariot driver was in charge of the safety of the vehicle. This was a key position. Referring to the historical records, a driver must have been in the third grade of the rank of nobility or above. It was quite possible that they were officers at the basic level. The driver had the chariot under his command. However, one chariot could not be a fighting unit. Who was the commanding officer of the entire column? There's an officer keeping his hand on his sword who looks serious and dignified. The cap he wears is a unique style, and his leather corselet is the finest of all the terracotta figures. The plates are delicate and well arranged, and there are bows on both the front and back, which apparently are equivalent to the epaulettes on today's military uniforms. According to the specialists, these officers should be in the 7th or 8th grade of the rank of nobility, and each one commands at least one column. This is the officer ranked between the driver and the column commander. He also wears the board-shaped cap. But there's a ridge in the middle of the cap. He's possibly an officer at the basic level in charge of a group of the column. The terracotta soldiers reveal only a small part of the military system in Qin state. A lot of the details are still unknown. In world military history, the Qin army was most probably the first to set up an integrated military rank system. Its organisation and administration were quite close to those of present-day armed forces. It was because of this rigidly stratified and orderly disciplined system that the Qin army was much more effective than those of the other states. The terracotta soldiers here, as the symbol of the Qin army, can have had only one commander-in-chief, and that was the first Qin emperor himself, who now lies 1 kilometre away, buried under a huge mound of earth.